there's no way to really know what every single casting director is going to think every single time they watch every single audition that you have. However, there is a way to understand what drives a casting director to give a callback or to choose somebody for a role. And so when you understand the casting director's process, you can, to some degree, look at yourself objectively. It's always going to be a little bit more challenging for you to look at yourself 100% objectively because you're you and that's your performance. If you could look at your sides and identify the most obvious choice that most actors are going to make just from looking at it, and it's usually right there, and usually you'll do that too. So whatever the way is you would have done it right off the bat without thinking, is going to be the way that 98% of the other actors are going to come in doing it. Okay. If you could identify that and then tweak it to be slightly different than that, right away, that's going to help your audition, because a casting director is clicking on auditions, right? Assuming they're watching self-tapes, right? They're clicking or even a live virtual audition, whatever. They're seeing the same thing over and over again, over and over again. This was my experience for many, many years in casting. It was always shocking to me how many actors will come in and do the exact same read. Exact same, like you could chart it on a graph exactly when they're going to have certain, when they're going to raise their voice, when they're going to, get mad, when they're going to, it's like you can chart it on a graph. It's shocking. So knowing that a casting director is looking at that, if you could look at your audition and see if you're doing that, then you want to re-record it and do something that's a little bit different. Now, a little bit different meaning it should still be within the realm of what works for the scene. And I want you to understand that there's no one right way to do a scene in order to book something or in order to be right for the role. There are an infinite number of ways to do it. Now, there may be some that seem like right off the bat. However, it's always extremely delightful when an actor comes in and gives you something you did not expect, that you didn't think about, that you didn't imagine before. Okay, so I don't want you to limit yourself in thinking that there's a right way and a wrong way to do this audition. And the more you push yourself to try different ways, the more you'll discover a little hidden gem. When you're rehearsing a scene, you can rehearse the scene, 10 times, right? And if you're just doing the same thing all 10 times, there's no discovery there. You need to be willing to rehearse it more than that. And during that rehearsal period, whatever that is, I don't care if it's 15 minutes or 3 hours or 2 days, right? During that rehearsal period, give yourself the freedom to screw up and do a shitty read, because nobody's going to see it. That's what rehearsal is for. Okay. When you give yourself permission to screw up and do a crappy read, something that, you don't think is even right or good, and you're just trying things for the sake of trying things, you're going to get a whole bunch of things that don't work. And then you're going to find one or two that was like, oh, that's interesting. And you would have never gotten to that hidden gem had you not given yourself permission to screw up. Okay. This is what the rehearsal process is for. And so when a casting director is looking at, if you wanted to look at your audition with casting director eyes, what the casting director is looking for is, what they think is right for the role, but with an openness and a willingness to be delighted by something they didn't imagine. So knowing that, and knowing that, giving yourself the freedom to screw up and the time to rehearse and come up with new ideas and get out of the pattern that every other actor is going to do. If knowing that, gives you the freedom to try and create something, you will be able to give the casting director what they want, because what they want is something poppy and different and good and right on, but not expected, right? And so now some ways to go about getting that, and it's really about that willingness to screw up, for lack of a better word, and the giving yourself the time and space for the creative play that's necessary in order for you to be vulnerable, to allow yourself to make mistakes, to explore new avenues of this character, to do things that may not work in order to find the thing that does work, that everybody else will not be doing because they didn't do everything that I just told you. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, getting creative now. You're thinking about it, aren't you? Okay.